This episode of the Offroad Podcast is sponsored by Warren, Power Tank, Medical Gear Outfitters, and that's it tonight.
Offroad Podcast, episode 289, Off-Road Lighting.
Tonight, Aaron draws on some grid paper, Ben shops at Wish again for some LED lights, and Coy talks Aaron into getting a two-post lift.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, a podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. I'm your host, Ben. I'm here with my co-hosts, Aaron and Coy, is joining us again from the Superchargers Soda Pop and Fried Chicken Podcast.
The Week in Review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for a day of traveling or on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. While there, use code Offroad Podcast for 10% off.
I've been telling people to use that code a little bit recently. They posted Skinny Medic posted an article about this company, a U.S. company that makes N95s. That's been having a hard time selling them. So I was like, hey, Skinny Medic has them, and you can get 10% off using our podcast code.
Yeah. So, Coy, what's up, man?
Not a ton. I've actually been like ultra lazy this week, so I don't have a lot to bring to you. I've started a diet, so if I freak out on you guys at any moment, that's I'm apologizing in advance.
And it's
I may get cranky.
or what?
Well, it turns out my doctor said I'm fat. So
Oh yeah,
What?
yeah, she actually agrees with you guys for once. So it was the first time going to this doctor, so it was really cool because I have never seen her, know nothing about her. Her name was like Dr. McCarthy, and I'm sitting in there just waiting, and this like 33-year-old Asian chick walks in, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" She's like, "Hey, I'm Dr. McCarthy." I'm like, "Oh, wow, I'm wildly surprised right now because I just had this like old lady envisioned in my head."
McCarthy.
Like, yeah. I'm actually trying to decide what color of Max Tracks I'm gonna get right now.
Go pink.
Pink. So they're sold out of about everything.
Uh-oh.
Pink Creek Off-Road Challenge, and I want a set of my own. Last year, a friend of mine, Zach Mayfield, co-drove for me, and he had some, so they proved their worth for me. So I'm gonna get some, but I didn't really want orange because I don't want to like signal that I'm an overlander. So it's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like I like the product, and I think they're great, and I think they're the best traction aid of its traction board. But I also don't want anybody to know I have some. Is that fair?
Get some of the black ones that disappear when you use them.
They're out of. So I was thinking I could do orange, red, or yellow, or black were kind of the colors I was looking at, and orange, black, and red is all sold out. So it's either yellow or desert tan, which while it would match my vehicle, seems like one of the worst colors to really have, unless you don't mind losing.
Yeah, definitely.
$50 boards at a time.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you gotta have like a long leash for them. That's a bright, different color.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways,
well,
somebody decide for me.
You can't shop like somewhere else to get some, or are you trying to get it from a specific place?
I'm looking at the importer, Matt or whatever.
Okay. Yep.
Adventure Imports, and their next shipment's not coming in till like mid-February, and they've pretty much already sold that shipment, I guess.
Oh wow.
Do you want to just borrow mine?
It's possible. I need to buy a pair of my own, and I don't want to ruin someone else's, and then
I get that for sure.
Well, you could borrow Aaron's and then give him a new set.
I really, really don't like doing that. That's like a great favorite thing to do is use somebody's old stuff, ding it up a little bit, like, "Oh, I gotta buy them a new one now," and then you have a
Uh-huh.
new one for
Yeah.
just a few moments as
I
you
mean,
give it.
I wouldn't mind, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be alright for you.
Yeah. Uh, well, we must not have offended Kevin too much last week when I think it was Jeremy called ham operators nerds.
Yep.
So he's back. I like his suggestion here, though. He
I don't
suggests
feel like
getting the
ham
tan
operators.
one. I like his suggestion where he says you get the tan
Orange
one, but
stuff.
just use a orange strap to recover them with.
I wonder if I could get, like, a 6-foot orange strap for each one. That way it could,
Probably.
I think they come with
more
them.
bearable. Yeah, but aren't they, like, a foot long or less?
I've never opened mine up and used them, so you could have mine. You can tie them together or sew them together, whatever. I don't.
Oh,
I
your
don't know.
straps. Have you
Yeah.
guys ever used them in, like, nasty mud?
No.
I don't. Well, in my field, yes, when I was trying to recover the army truck.
So, last year at the Champagne Creek Off-Road Challenge, when we were doing that, there was just I mean, it's bogger country there. There's some really nasty mud. And there was several times where I was like, "I don't know if we're gonna be able to find it." And they were orange ones, like, that you can lose them a lot easier than you think.
Mm.
I believe it, especially with mud.
Yep.
Mud and sand where it can just disappear under it real quick.
No, they definitely disappeared in my field, but I just knew where they were, so I knew where to put the shovel to get them out.
Well, these we thought we knew where they were, but they move around and then yeah, it's pretty crazy how easy those are to lose.
So Rick says that he's seen guys hook the strap to your rig and they follow you out of the mud pit. The ones where I buried mine in the field were so suctioned in there, it would have just broke the strap as I kept driving.
Yeah, I that's kind of where I've been. Honestly, other than this event, I'm probably mostly will be using them in the snow, and I mean, any color other than white's going to stand out pretty well in the snow, so it's not that big a deal. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
I'm
Mm.
leaning towards like high vis yellow though. It's like that, yellow fire truck yellow.
Huh.
And plus, if those are on my top of my truck, people see those. It doesn't scream I have max tracks, and I'll be like, oh yay.
What about you, Aaron? What's new, man?
Um, I just was really quickly looking up yellow max tracks just to see what they look like. Um, that's like banana yellow, dude. That's gross.
Yeah, you're looking at the
Wow.
wrong. They're almost like a lime yellow. They're like fire truck yellow.
That is a bright yellow. That is like banana. That is I would call it banana yellow. Um, but like when you draw banana yellow.
Neon banana yellow.
Yeah, neon banana.
Yeah. Maybe I just need to see in person. I'm not sure here. They
Yeah.
they look pretty yellow in all the different pictures that I see them in. Yeah. Okay, well, we mentioned last week that I got a truck, or I should say my wife got a truck. She has 100% claimed it. We got her some accessories for it. We went and got the WeatherTech um, floor mats for it.
Ooh, good choice.
Yeah, they're so nice. And then um it didn't have any like storage under the rear seat like my Nissan does, and WeatherTech sold a fairly inexpensive tray that goes back there that's form fitted really well. So we picked that up. We decided to do a tonneau cover on this truck rather than a canopy. So got a tonneau cover ordered.
What tonneau cover did you go with?
Mm, Tonneau Pro. Tonneau spelled incorrectly. Tonno Pro.
Oh,
Tonneau Pro.
huh. Is it like a single piece or a trifold?
It's a roll up.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
former boss of mine had one. Actually has one, and he says it's a great tonneau cover. He's on his third F-150, and he's put tonneau covers on all of them. So I reached out to him and he's a pretty picky guy. So I reached out to him
Yeah,
and
if it was a
that.
trifold, I would say go with a Lomax. I've installed a bunch of those at work, and those are really nice.
Um, I haven't got there yet, Jerry. Um, so and we got the peanut gallery's chiming in. It says, "Is the travel trailer considered an accessory?" So yeah, so that's the other thing we bought as an accessory for the truck was we picked up a travel trailer this weekend. So
Ooh.
um, yep, we've been wanting to get something that we can go hit state parks with and be super cozy rather than being in a rooftop tent or something like that. So, some place where kids can ride their bikes on pavement. Maybe there's a playground or a swimming pool or something like that. So,
Boring.
How big
I
of a
know.
trailer did you get?
Well, the model number says 26, but the dealers all say they're like 3 feet longer. But I think 26 is the size of the cabin, and then you've got 3 feet of bumper and tongue. So I got a
Hmm,
29-foot trailer.
nice.
Yeah. It doesn't have a slide out, so that makes it way less. And it has bunk beds in the back, but they're like full size beds, so technically two people can sleep in there.
Oh, wow.
And it's
Big bunk
and then
bed.
it's got um it's got like a bedroom up front for the adults, so it's got a sliding, like one of those sliding bypass doors, so that way the adults can have their space. And we wanted to make sure that we got bunks and then that bed room up front, because we didn't want to have to put up and take down a couch or a dinette for the kids to sleep on or something like that. So it was important to get the bunk beds.
Yeah, my in-laws, their trailer's very similar setup to that, where it's got the room up front and then it's got bunk beds in the back towards the little bathroom in the back.
Yeah. And everything I've seen, 26 feet long is the shortest trailer you can get in that configuration. I never found anything shorter than 26. So I would have bought longer if something would have come up, because more space is awesome, but this is just what it was. I see you smirking there. So, let's see here. Oh yeah. Laid out my shop. Let's see here if I got a picture. I don't really have a picture, but I've been doing some drawing on some grid paper here on how I'm going to park stuff in the shop. Settled on a final size,
Drum
and
roll. How big?
28 wide, 36 long. So I made it 2 feet wider than I had initially drawn it out, and I made it 2 feet shorter than I had initially drawn it out, um, just to save a few $100 because I was making it wider, and it's going to save money on the concrete and things like that. It's going to be 13 feet tall to the eaves. It's going to have a carport onto the side of it, or I should say a lean-to on the side, and that trailer will go into that. How do dorks Jeep wave? How do Jeep wave? How do Yeah? I'm not sure.
Hi guys.
Yeah. Rick thinks I'm going to be selling my rooftop tent. That's a big negative, Ghost Rider. So we're keeping my camp trailer. We're keeping the rooftop tent. That is for when I really want to go camping in the real places. So although
If
my
you want
trailer
to be,
hasn't been out,
a
my
real
trailer.
upper, put that rooftop tent on top of your camper trailer, 12 feet, 13 feet in the air, and then
Oof.
everybody in the park will know that you're legit.
Yeah. We'll have to get how many ladder extensions to get up onto it, but yeah, that would be legit. It would probably cave in the roof because those trailers are built so poorly. So, no, I haven't pulled my trailer in quite a while because all the adventures I've been on recently have been far enough away where I didn't want to drag it because of fuel economy or just me going solo. So, I've just had the rooftop tent on the Nissan. But yeah, I got the shop laid out, all dialed in. Today I talked to a garage door guy to confirm what it's going to cost for different types of garage doors and stuff like that. So that kind of settled what I was going to do. And then, yeah, the next step is I got to make time to get to the county to get a permit so I can start digging. It's
Ask
gonna
for
be good.
ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah. Well, I got to pay somebody to do the digging, so I want to make sure it's legit, so I don't have to pay twice.
Yeah,
What
definitely.
do you? So you're shopping on Wish again, Ben? What's going
No,
on?
I haven't shopped on this. It was just based off the episode topic. I,
Okay.
I've stayed away from Wish. I stay away from shopping actually. All I've been doing is catching up on vehicle maintenance, minus the Forerunner. That's tomorrow. I had to replace 3 door actuators, which sucks. I mean, these
What's a
hands aren't
door actuator?
knowledgeable. The door locks, the electronic locks for the Expedition and my wife's Camry. So the
Hmm.
Camry, the driver's door, you've had to manually lock it since we've bought it, and I finally just got tired enough to finally fix it. And then the Expedition, the driver's or the passenger side lock went out, and the rear passenger side lock went out. Just the electronic actuator for it. So I took the time and fixed those yesterday, and did oil changes for all the vehicles. And then
Nice.
I need to still need to finish the Forerunner because I'm going to do all the fluids in the Forerunner. It's time.
Did you on when you did the oil changes? Did you lock tight the oil filters on so they don't come loose?
No, no Loctite on those. I've got to say, the Camry is easier to do an oil change than the Expedition. Literally, the worst oil filter position ever. It
Hmm.
sucked so bad. I cut my hand twice
Well, I
because
mean, it kind of makes sense. Like Camrys are known to be one of the best cars in the world. They're one of the best selling. Like they get tons of mileage. Like they're just one of the best all around cars. Expeditions are known for well being expeditions.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's yeah, it's just you have to go in between the fan and the belts, and there's about this much space, and it's at the bottom of the engine, but you have to reach from up top and twist it, and then you're trying to use the oil filter wrench, and it's hitting the fan. Yeah, it just yeah. Next time I'm getting a K&N oil filter for it, so I can throw a socket on the end of it and make it easy, and then it'll probably
Well,
break, and then
there's a trick to doing it, and it's not the one that Kevin mentioned here in the comments by tightening with a breaker bar.
stab it
You
with a screwdriver.
you no, you put some oil on the O-ring before you put it
Did
up
that.
there, and then once it makes contact, you rotate it 2/3 to 3/4 and stop. You don't keep going till it feels good and tight. It's 2/3 to 3/4 of a turn, and you're done. And it'll come off every time.
Now I had no problem getting it off. It was getting it back on where I had problems, and I cut myself.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just
Put
it
put an
sucks.
oil filter relocation kit on there.
That's not a bad idea.
Hmm.
I'm just, maybe I
Those
just won't ever
relocation
do an oil change again on it. Hopefully the engine will
those,
blow up.
those relocation kits are literally just asking for problems. Like
Yeah,
You think so?
more
oh,
We
back in
ran
the
one.
Tony days, everybody ran those, and multiple times people dumped
Huh.
every ounce of oil out.
Wow, we ran one on our Escort, and we never had an issue with that. But yeah.
outside of
Hmm.
that, I watched Battle of the Badlands last night on Amazon. I'd watched it kind of while watching the kids a week or so ago, and I actually sat down and watched it and enjoyed it this time.
Gotcha. You had to pay twice then?
No, I bought it.
Oh, you bought it. Gotcha.
Yeah. I was looking forward to it coming out. I'd heard about it a couple months ago.
Hmm.
We were planning on having them on tonight, but some KOH is coming up, and they're busy with that. So
Yeah.
See, I
Um.
misunderstood you, and I just watched the Badlands, which is a kung fu show. So don't watch it for your children. People are getting their arms and stuff cut off like crazy. It's
It's
really
called
good though.
Badlands. I'll check that
Yeah,
out. Badlands.
it's a
that,
series of TV shows. Yeah,
that is
yeah,
a
it's
good
awesome.
TV show. It is.
Yeah,
I actually
there's
want
a lot of people getting chopped up.
yeah, they are definitely getting chopped up on that one.
Hey guys, we're looking to reach more listeners. We're going to start reading Apple iTunes reviews on air. If you hear yours, send us a message with your address, and we'll send you an Off-Road Podcast sticker. You can find all of our social media by just searching our name. Now, go hit that subscribe button.
Also, make sure and check out Patriot Patch and their awesome selection of patches and shirts. Don't forget you can join that Patch of the Month club and you get a patch and a matching sticker every single month with an artist proof as well. So, um, I let's see here. I don't think have you seen what's coming out for February yet?
Still haven't seen what's coming out. For
Yeah,
February.
I'm kind of surprised. We should have heard by now. So, yeah,
Contact your boyfriend; he'll tell you.
yeah, I'll have to reach out to him. I was joking with him the other day about it's a good thing he didn't buy a Dodge Ram. There's a funny meme of two guys pouring beer into each other's mouths, and they were Ram owners. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
That the
The,
Ram
never,
owner.
the internet
And
never lets you down.
Yeah.
hey, Chuck. Chuck Holt is a friend of mine.
I was wondering because it mentioned drifting here. So, yeah. Ready for some news?
The news is brought to you by PowerTank, the ultimate mobile onboard air system for performance, versatility, and reliability. They are your source for all air-related accessories. Check them out at powertank.com.
Well, this week for news, it's Ford news, but it's not Bronco news.
No, and it's not F-150 news or Ranger news. It's the Ford Maverick. So in early January, we talked about Ford possibly reviving the Maverick nameplate and making it a truck. And those rumors are confirmed. They're making a small truck. I don't know why they went with the Maverick. I Courier was the small truck back in the day, the Ford Courier. Maybe they couldn't use Courier name. Maybe someone else hijacked that or something because they didn't keep up with trademarks. I don't know, but Ford Maverick, which was a car. So this is kind of weird. Although it is a unibody platform, it is a car chassis. It's based on the
Yeah.
it's based on the Escape slash Bronco Sport platform. So yeah, it's unibody just like the Honda Ridgeline. The article mentions that they wouldn't be surprised if Ford did some of the Honda Ridgeline things where they have like in bed storage or under bed storage, whatever you call that, and some other fancy things you can do with a unibody that you can't really do with a
Oh,
body
kind of
on
like
frame
the,
rig.
what is that? The Avalanche, where they have like the pass through.
Is it Avalanche body on frame though?
Uh,
Yes, it is.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
It has like the
But
pass through bed thing.
it did have some weird like storage, like where you could hide bodies and stuff on those.
Well, it has like the back panel that separates the back seats from the truck bed folds down
Yeah.
flat, so you can do long lumber.
Longwood. Yeah. Um
So
so
she said.
they're only going to make it in the four-door version. They're not going to make a super crew, only the super cab. Obviously, it's going to be smaller than the Ranger. Some people are like, "Why do we need a small truck?" I've seen chatter online about it. Why do we need a small truck? We got the Ranger. Well, if you took today's Ranger and probably compared it to a 1980s F-150, it probably has same specs. Probably can tow the same and all kinds of stuff. So, um, the small trucks have become mid-size.
Yeah. Well, and so I actually had a conversation with someone, and we were talking about trucks and how you can get like an F-150 nowadays and get the same fuel economy as, say, what is it, some of the diesels or some of like the Volkswagens. And I'd actually heard that conversation somewhere too. It might have been on some podcast about fried chicken.
Yeah, I've we were talking about that on Booze Booze and Barbecue, how all these
Oh,
new
that's
smaller
your podcast. I can never remember your podcast name.
Yeah.
I typed it out wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, all these new trucks get such good gas mileage. It's like, why get a car at a certain point?
Uh-huh.
And all trucks are 4 doors now. So yeah, I agree with
Yep.
Ben and myself.
And they're super nice, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
it's
all
not a
the
utilitarian vehicle anymore. My truck has heated and cooled air conditioned seats, and the steering wheel heats up. So
Yeah, well, and
yeah.
it's like a new Jeep. You can get a new Jeep, and it gets 30 miles per gallon. I mean, that was what 10 years ago. That was the big thing with cars is they got 30 miles per gallon.
Mhm.
And well, hey, I'm getting the same fuel economy, but I get the benefits of a truck. I get the nice big storage in the back, and yeah.
Yeah. So they talk about it having most likely have an inline four, but there's a possibility that it might have the inline three that the Escape uses. So we'll just kind of have to see on that. Obviously, it's front wheel drive or optioned out with all wheel drive, so not a rear wheel drive vehicle. And they mentioned this article, and I feel like this number's low, but they say expect it to haul just over 1,500 pounds, so that would be in the bed, and tow 2,000 pounds. And I feel like a 2,000 pound tow rating is super low. I had
Yeah,
a I had a Ford Escort
1,500.
station wagon, and it could tow 2,500 pounds.
Maybe it has to do something with length.
This would be longer than the Escort station wagon that I had for sure, and
I don't
more
know. There's a bunch of
powerful.
variables with it.
Yeah,
What's the
2,000
payload?
just feels low.
What's the payload capacity of like a Ranger? Like that, the payload capacity seems really high,
The payload seems high, so I think the Ranger is like 1,700 or something like that.
especially considering that the bed is part of the body. I feel like 1,500 pounds in there, you're gonna hit a few chuck holes, and you're gonna have some weird creases there behind the back doors.
So the payload says 1,600 to 2,100 pound payload for the Ranger. That's crazy. But the Ranger only has a 3,500 pound towing capacity, so that even feels low for the Ranger because that can't be right because the Ranger is in the same segment as my pickup truck, and my truck for sure can tow 6,200 pounds.
Yeah, I mean FJ Cruisers and like Tacomas can tow 5,000 to 6,000 pounds somewhere in
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
So that seems
Yeah,
crazy.
that doesn't seem right for the towing.
Yeah, we need more Utes here. It's like
Yeah,
Darwin
that's
said.
weird. Yeah, Google is telling me that it tows 2,500 pounds, which seems really low.
Yeah, that's like a very very
Oh,
small trailer or
here,
something.
here's another article that says that's in its most basic form, but it can reach up to 7,500 pounds with the trailer
Really?
tow package. That makes a lot more sense. So, I'm just skeptical that the Maverick would be that low. So,
Yeah, we'll see numbers when they become official.
mhm, yeah. Darwin wants them to turn it into a Ute, and actually, if you go to the show notes that will be released when the episode drops and click on the article, um, it looks like a lifted ute in this picture. It looks pretty sweet. Whoever did this rendering, it's not going to be like this because they're making it a four door only, but it looks pretty cool.
Yep.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Well, kiddos, we are skipping the whole lockers and we're jumping straight into light bars here tonight. Um, so I figured, we Jeremy actually, I think was it Jeremy who mentioned going with a lighting episode,
Yeah.
Yes.
and it's something we haven't really covered a lot on, and Coy was all over this too. Me and Coy kind of filled out these show notes quite a bit with stuff, and I figured we'd start off with kind of light color because you look at lights and you see some numbers like 600 and 800 or 6,000 and 800K, 8,000K, and you're like, what the hell does that mean? So that's Kelvin, I think is the correct
Hmm.
word.
Hmm.
Yeah, there we go. So
And it's what they call the color temperature.
yeah, the color temperature. So 3,000 Kelvin is a yellowish amber. 43 that 4,300 is pure white. 5,000 Kelvin is alpine white. 6,000 is bright light, and 8,000 is bluish. Is what I'm putting here.
Almost purple once you get to that 8,000 number.
Yeah, and once you go beyond that, I mean, it gets straight up into like a pink color. Um,
I
So
think
one
pretty
one
quick.
thing to
You know,
know. Go ahead, Coy.
I think above 8K, it's not too much farther before it just gets out of the human spectrum, doesn't it?
I
Well,
think it's 2,400K is where it's that really pink color, and then
Oh,
after
20
that, 2,400,
24,000.
24,000 is then
Okay.
after that it's beyond the human's eye spectrum.
I've seen like HID light kits for sale on eBay that were 12,000 Kelvin or 11,000 Kelvin. So I know they sold them above 10 for sure, but I don't know where it stops. But I was going to mention that just because it has a higher number doesn't mean that it's better.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm just pulling up some light colors here, and why don't they have the numbers on these? There we go. Nope, no numbers on this one either.
I think honestly, I prefer it more in like the 4,000 range, but I think your average light bar is going to be in the five to 6,000 range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your average light bar is about 5,000. 4,000 is more of a halogen light, I'd say. And then a lot of the LEDs nowadays, like the higher end ones, are more of that 6,000 color.
Yeah. I've anytime I've put HIDs in a rig, I've always chosen like 43 or 4,500 Kelvin, depending on what was available to me at the time. So, from what I've read, it's the most visible spectrum of light for the human eye. It's the one that gives you the best. It just you see the best out of it. So,
Yeah, I like the 6,000 is what I've been using. I've got some arc LED mini monsters, I think is what they are. And they are really bright, and they are a but the visibility on them is just amazing.
hmm.
So, with some of those colors, so in snow, blue tends to allow you to see the texture of the ground a little better. Amber is another good one for that, but in dirt, amber tends to do better with that texture and also cutting through fog.
I've heard it both ways. To quote to quote to quote Coy on that. I've heard that the yellow film over your fog lights doesn't do anything to cut through fog, and then there's the people who say that it does. So I'm not sure what to believe because I'm reading it on the internet.
We just lost your audio, or was it mine?
I can hear. I can
Uh
hear
oh.
Aaron just fine.
Oh, good,
Okay.
good.
Oh no,
I'm
it
glad
was
it
me.
wasn't me.
So before we get totally into all this, what lights are you? What are your light setups, guys? Just so everybody kind of has an idea what you're running
Currently.
currently, or what you're about to do if you have something that you just haven't wired in yet.
So I've got yellow or amber fog lights. I have ditch lights. I have all my flashy ambers along the sides, and then I've got LED. I want to say they're like a 6,000K, and then my My high beams are a 5,000 that also switch to a 3,000 if you double tap them.
Double tap.
So that if I want to go with an amber high beam, that kind of helps in darkness.
Hmm.
They're I've used them quite a bit, and I'm gonna switch to a regular LED as soon as they burn out.
So my truck came factory with just halogens, no projectors or anything, and I did a um, projector retrofit. So I've got like 43 or 4500 Kelvin HIDs behind projectors in my headlights. Um, I've got just regular old halogen fog lights that burn through bulbs. They just suck. And then they're the ARB fog lights, I should say. So they're garbage. I haven't taken the time to get something to replace those with though. I've got a couple of Chinese ARB knockoff LED lights up front that are like the ARB intensity lights.
Ooh, I
At
suppose too, but they're not on the truck.
they're like 1/8 of the cost of what the ARB lights would have cost, and they've been great the whole time. And they've got plastic lenses that snap over them, so they protect the light. One of them, I run one of each lens. It came with two of each lens. So one, it turns it into a spot pattern, or just keeps it as a spot pattern, and the other one diffuses it into a flood. Um, and then on the back, I replaced my backup lights with an LED bulb just to cast more light back there, and I wasn't satisfied. So it did make a difference, but I added more by when I had my rear bumper built. I added some reverse lights in that also.
That is something I forgot to mention, that I do have an LED in my reverse lights. It's pretty common nowadays to do too.
Mhm.
What about
It
you?
really helps out. What do you got, Coy?
Oh, let's see. On the roof, I run spots on the roof, and they're Vision X light cannon 6.7 inch the first gen ones. Those are incredible lights. If you ever have a chance, or literally laser beams, you can be on one side of a canyon and like hit the other side. They're pretty unique. If you have a chance to get some of those, I would. And then I have two rigid flood side shooters that I kind of use as fogs, down, set, low. And then I have two. They're from Armored Lighting. They were a prototype light, so I have the only set that I begged till he gave. Well, I bought them from him, but till I got them from him, and they are similar to the ARB rounds. They got a few more bulbs in them, and a little bit brighter. Uh, the closest thing would be like the steady lights from Australia makes a real similar one. Anyways, those are, I can't remember if those are 8 or 9. I think their metrics are like a 8.2 or something. And those are like suntan your soul bright. And I have those
Mhm.
wired into my high beams. So they come on with my high beams, but I have a switch. So I can just run my regular high beams, but then the on off switch keeps them tied in. So uh, I I leave it usually tied into the high beams, and I my hand hovers over the high beam selector, waiting for people to high beam me, so I can just literally
Hello.
scar their eyes. It's amazing.
One of those hello switches.
Yeah. Then I run uh, 6 rigid rock lights, 4 of them on each end of the. I have a mounted front and back of the slider, so they're at like a 45 under my rear slider, one facing forward, and then at the front of the slider, I have one at like a 45 facing backwards at angles, so they kind of really light up under the truck. And then the other two rigid rock lights, they're their A series lights, I have right in front of the fenders, and they just shine straight out into the ditch, basically. Then I have 3 Max. I can't remember the Max. Those magnetic rock
Lux.
lights. Lux, yes, Lux lights. two of them are like where a spare tire would be underneath, and then one I keep shining. It's inside my stuck to my bumper. It shines on my winch though when I have my rock lights on, so that I can see to wind my winch up.
Mm.
And
Uh,
that's
I,
pretty much all I
you
run.
talked about that on our Nevada trip, and I thought that was such a good idea because if you're out there at night and you can't really see your winch as you're winching in, and it gets all bound up, you can't tell until it's too late.
Yeah, I'm a little bit retentive about the way my winch is spooled. I like it spooled nicely, so I usually when I'm using it, I will re-spool it most of the times right after I use it. And when I mostly snow wheel, so it only takes one or two times of holding a metal flashlight in your teeth trying to re-spool that, and you'll quickly realize that there has to be a better way. And then for my actual just stock headlights, I prefer just a halogen, and I just have like some Sylvanias, like a one step up from stock. I don't like my stock headlights to be super bright, so
Well, you
uh,
got a round housing, correct?
I do. Yeah,
And so like your options are retrofit, or you have a reflector housing, which kind of brings us into where I wanted to go next with this was housings, because there's two different types of housings. You've got your reflector and a projector, and
Mhm.
they've got their advantages and disadvantages. Um, I'll start off with the reflector because that's what you have. Is it's kind of the traditional lighting, and it's better suited for a halogen because it throws light everywhere, and with the halogen light, it kind of dims off the top. And
Well, I don't know if they put halogens behind projectors as well. So the Subarus I owned were halogen projectors, and
yes,
all you had to do is drop an LED, an HID bulb into them, and they were amazing. So um, I've maybe Coy, you've experienced cars that have always had decent headlights from the factory. The Subarus were just garbage. So I had a 2005 Subaru Legacy, and then I eventually actually didn't take long, and I did a HID bulb swap into it, and then it was about a year later we bought a 2005 Subaru Outback, which is basically the exact same vehicle, same headlights for sure. And when we were driving it around, like I kept on rotating the knob to make sure that the headlights were on, even though they were on, they were just that poor. Um, so, and then the Frontier had just had garbage headlights as well. So that's why I did the projector retrofit.
well, so my Forerunner has projectors, and they're a halogen, and it actually has a little gap in it to allow a little light up above the top, so it doesn't have a fresh cutoff because of
Hmm,
how it's designed. It's really weird.
that is
When
weird.
I put in my HIDs that I had in it, I actually moved the little reflector flap flat so that it give me a crisp cutoff for the HIDs, and went shoot light above to blind
Hmm.
oncoming traffic, because I try not to get flashed because I don't want to flash them back. Apparently, they're
Yeah.
frowned upon.
oh, you're missing out. You're missing out. So let me let me kind of I like us a dim factory light bulb if I have auxiliary lighting. If I
Yeah.
don't, then yes, I get the brightest thing I can get. So I've had HIDs and stuff in cars, but on my FJ Cruiser, I have all the extra lights, and then my regular lights, I mostly just they're basically fog lights at this point.
Yeah.
But
S-
Darwin says I need to step up those stock bulbs so I get flash, so then I get the chance to blind them. I
Yeah.
lifted it and I get flashed so much because I never readjusted my headlights. So they're not super bright, but they're aimed too high. So people constantly, like every third car flashes me. I've actually had a
Oh,
cop pull me over thinking that I high beamed him. And I was like, no, these are my high beams.
Here,
So
let me show you something.
I had that problem with my Jeep. My I got pulled over once for it too. I was like, "No, these are my high beam C," and he's like, "Oh, okay. Have a nice day, sir."
Hmm.
Probably helped that I knew him too. So,
Yeah. Well, then, Coy, it sounds like you might need to aim your headlights a little bit.
actually, so there are LEDs now. The company Arc that I have, they make a different light that it's an LED designed for a reflector housing. It's supposed to help aim the light a little better.
Hmm.
So, but So projectors, the light, it beams the light. It gives you an awesome cutoff with the projector housing. If you've got a nice one, can be retrofitted into a reflector housing. That said, it needs an LED with a fan, or you'll burn a hole. Uh, Potentially, if you use an LED, you want an LED with a fan. Depending upon the housing type, if it's got a closed back, you can burn a hole through the headlight itself. I know someone that did that with their Tacoma.
Oh, I was wondering if you knew somebody who did that with his Forerunner.
Nope, it was a Tacoma. I've seen
Because
it
you've
with.
never owned a Tacoma, that's why I'm confused.
Yep, there we go. Not me. I actually do need a new headlights though, because of um, my bumper. I didn't cut off something that I should have, and it's bouncing on if the bumper moves at all, it hits um, part of the brackets.
Oh
Yeah,
my.
yeah,
I
it
don't
broke
think your
two
bumper's
tabs.
supposed to move, Ben.
Yeah.
No, well, it's when my body's flexed. I don't know. So yeah, should we
All
compare
right.
HID, LED, and halogen?
Yeah, let's talk about the pros and cons. I feel like we should talk about halogen first. I'm going to move that one to the top. Um there we go. Because halogen is it's the basic and it's what comes mostly standard until you get fancier and fancier, option things out or put
Hmm.
aftermarket things in. So halogen is cheap, not super bright. You've got in here medium temperature. I feel like it's on the lower portion of the spectrum. Like it's going to be like 3,000 Kelvin and stuff like that. Maybe 3,500.
Well,
Uh, cr-
when I was referring to temperature on that, also meant like the bulb temperature that it creates inside the housing, so for like melting snow
oh,
and such too.
well, no,
Be-
that's your next line down here. It says creates more heat and will resist freezing.
oh yeah, yeah.
Um, if you have blizzard and snow and like ice, sleet, ice conditions, and that actually is a big deal. I've never lived in an area or driven through bad enough snow that it has been a problem for my headlights, but I do know that there's places in the world that can be an issue. Um,
Well, when I got stuck up in Greenwater, my LEDs they didn't create enough heat to melt the snow off the front of my Forerunner, off the housings.
yeah, but didn't you just like get out and just go like this, and
Yeah,
then it was
no,
fine?
well, yeah, it was fine
Yeah,
after that, but
yeah. I've had to do that when I've been doing lots of snow wheeling or in a blizzard condition, but it's never like built up a layer of ice that like I
yeah, that
couldn't just swipe off the snow and stuff like that. Um, One thing that we haven't covered yet, and talking about halogen is older vehicles that have sealed beams. So sealed beam is a type of a headlight, and I believe they used to be incandescent before they were halogen. And halogen is more efficient than incandescent lights. But basically, it's just the whole housing. You replace the whole housing rather than popping a bulb in or out of the back. You replace that whole housing.
yeah, old
So
Jeeps and what the
old
old
All the old,
everything.
yeah, old everything.
Yep,
all the old
everything. Because
original Toyota pickups ran the seal beam round and then square.
it was. I mean, it was government mandated until a certain point when we finally caught up with Europe, where they had contoured headlights that were good for airflow.
You know, if you just go off the sound of the word, incandescent sounds like the most technologically advanced light there is. Like, well, I have HID, I have LED, I have incandescent. Okay.
Yeah, I just upgraded to the incandescent lights. Actually, all of my interior lights are also incandescent, and my turn signals.
So next one we got here is HIDs. Currently, I believe they are still the brightest that you can get as far as lumens go.
I
The
think
highest,
it's spot for spots HID have the best beam. I don't think they have the most lumen if you're going flood.
or candles. I don't know. I've heard that HIDs are still the brightest you can get. But they don't have a super long life and they're expensive. Because what a ballast itself is 20-30 bucks.
Yeah, probably about there for inexpensive aftermarket ones. But if you own a car that has factory HIDs, they're going to definitely be factory
Yeah.
costs for those things.
Yeah, and it really varies. I mean, it's like LEDs. You can get super cheap LEDs, super cheap halogen bulbs. It just kind of depends. And then LEDs, affordable. They've got a long life because of the temperature. It doesn't burn as bright, so it allows it to last longer. They're bright, not far behind in technology to become brighter than HIDs. But because of the computer chip stuff and all that going on, they can affect ham radio quality. Um, have you had issues with that, Koi?
So I have one of my lights will come across on my CB. You'll hear it in the background. It's almost like an alternator whine will sometimes on radios. So I believe it's my rigid side shooters. When you
Interesting.
click those on, they will. But on my ham, I don't hear anything.
Yeah,
Hmm.
there's little magnetic little clip things you can put on the ends of your wires closest to the light source that'll help knock that down. Um,
Yeah.
Kevin also mentioned here in the comments that HIDs do require some extra wiring due to the power demand. And then you can also get that with LEDs where you have not necessarily the power demand, but the anti-flicker modules.
Mm. So I don't think HIDs have any extra power demand because I think HIDs are either 35 watt or 55 watt, and um,
Well,
halogen bulbs are start at 55 watts.
they have their startup power. They need a lot more voltage to get going, or is it wattage? I can't remember. Terrible.
HID also has a warm up period. So when you flip
That's a
them
good
on,
point to
they
mention.
are
Yeah,
not instantly bright. Now, some
yeah.
on certain factory OEM HID applications, they pretty much are. But if you have an HID off road light, usually it's 30, 40 seconds before it's actually shining full brightness. Whereas if you've been running
Uh,
LED, you're
I
used to
feel
just
like
immediately being blinded.
I feel like 30 to 40 seconds is long. I maybe it feels like that long, but all the ones I've ever run have been like 10 seconds and it's at full
Oh, really?
brightness. Yeah.
Yeah, the cheaper the lighting, the more chance of ham interference.
Mhm.
Good point.
I know some people that have gone back to I keep wanting to say incandescent because it sounds so fancy, but halogen um on their bumper lights where they have their ham radios mounted because it just has interfered with their ham, so they went back to the tried and true, so they're running like light force lights and stuff.
Yeah, I know a few guys on my unit where they bought some lights and they were having issues and they actually returned them back to the manufacturer because they were unhappy with it and went with a different manufacturer.
Yeah.
And then the last one we got on here is laser lights, and they're super new, very new on the market, and they have an extreme throw.
Yeah. The bad news is that dogs will chase the headlights around because they're lasers.
Well, so
Have
it's
either have
go ahead.
either of you seen the new laser LEDs in person at all?
Mm.
I have seen the laser headlights. I want to say it's the Acura that has them. Where as you like, if you it detects another oncoming vehicle, it'll shut off the module that is aimed at you at that time. I've seen those ones, but not in action.
I would like to see the Baja Designs laser LEDs at some point. I hear they're pretty incredible.
Quite a few quite a few people are designing those LED aftermarket LED off-road style lights, including Olympus Off-Road. They're actually the first place I heard of that was coming out with them.
Yeah,
Baja Designs has the patent, so I don't know. who else
Oh,
is
really? Hmm.
originally their laser LED is patented, but
Well,
Olympus Off Road I think is mostly just like Chinese knockoff type lights.
so Olympus Off Road, we had them on our show. It's probably been a couple years ago now, but they mentioned it at the very end of our show that they were working on laser LED lights. I haven't seen them come out through them yet, but I know that
They
they said
have
they
them.
were working on it.
I've seen
Do
them.
they?
I've been half tempted, as Rick would like,
Oh,
in
because you're in the secret Facebook buying group or whatever
well,
for
it's
them.
they've had it on their regular page too,
Oh,
where you
really? Okay.
can buy them. Essentially its own little projector housing with a bowl a laser chip behind it,
Hmm.
and it can change colors too. But it's got
Oh,
a nice
that's
cutoff like a projector.
everything we need.
Yep,
Yeah.
you can go yellow or you can go white.
Well, I think that kind of sums it up for headlights. Let's talk about fog lights. So, Ben, you have aftermarket fogs?
Yeah, so I have aftermarket fogs because I can't fit my regular housings in there anymore on my bumper. Mine are just some LED off-road lights that are aimed properly, um, and they can throw a lot of light low, and it helps cut through fog. But it also throws it down on the road in front of you too. So if you're lifted, your headlights kind of leave a little bit of a gap, and it kind of helps fill that and light up the road ahead of you so you can see crap in the road.
Gotcha. So I mentioned that my um we were talking about Josh before the show started. He says Tacoma Power. Um, Unfortunately, I'm outnumbered on this podcast. We've got 2-1 Tacoma owners here.
What?
So 2-1 Toyota owners is what
There
I
we
meant.
go.
Yeah. Um, Anyways, I've got the I mentioned I've got the factory ARB lights that came with my front bumper, and that they suck and they burn through bulbs often. And I've even read on the forums where people have, like, they've had their fogs on and they've driven through a water crossing and they come out the other side and the glass is broken on them because the light got the glass so hot that it shattered or whatever. So pretty sad. Mine suck. That's all I really have to add to this. Is that my halogen fogs suck?
Well, there's other options out there. I want to say I've seen a Baja Design LED with a whole little housing set up for um, an ARB bumper, so it might be something worth
Yeah,
looking into. But again, it's expensive, so remember that.
Have
yeah.
either of you ever had a good fog light on a lifted vehicle? It, I
Um,
personally haven't really. I mean, it kind of works, but like the only time I've had a good fog light was on like a low slung car where the light could
mm,
just be right on the road surface, and then
gotcha.
they were incredible. But
Yeah,
I have
it's
had
kind
good
of
luck
hard to
in
get
lifted
that.
vehicles.
Mm.
So with my lights, the cool thing is they're a little bit small for the whole hole cutout, so I can tilt them down a little bit so they aim down more at the road. So instead of a 4 inch housing, it's a 3.5 inch. So I've got like a half inch of room to angle it downward.
So, I wonder, maybe we need to start a new thing, um, just to get lights down lower, because you don't want to hang your lights under your bumper, right?
No.
Because what does that do? They're going to get whacked on something. The dual sport guys, they attach lights like on their forks, low on their forks or halfway down their forks, so they can get that fog down low, like Chloe's talking about. What if we made like an A arm mount? It sits on top of your A arm, but not where it's going to get hit by the bump stop. And it's just a small projector fog that
Actually,
can shoot down low.
have you seen there's been an ad on Facebook, and lots of people have kind of made fun of it. But it's a knuckle pod, so you can attach it to the knuckle of your truck, and you
That
attach a fog light on
that's
the
for
knuckle.
straight axles, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I could. There's something you could potentially do on a spindle.
So I actually think that those are pretty neat because they turn with your tires. So as
Yeah.
you steer, the light steers. But I, obviously, if you're into hardcore mudding or something, probably not for you. But there's for the overlander crowd and snow wheelers and rock
Mm,
crawlers. Why not? It's if you
yeah.
have a rock at the top of your knuckle, probably a broken light least your worries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shoot, somebody already had my idea.
Well, you just got to come out for an IFS version and you're in. So
Yeah. Yep. Well, Coy, did you have aftermarket fogs? I think you said you did.
they're not technically fogs. I have the rigid side shooter pods, and I just have them mounted as low as possible without them being in the way, so they work
Mm.
decently as a fog light.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, backup lights. I already mentioned this when we were talking about what we have for rigs, but the more light you can get behind you, the better. What's what I did with my truck is kind of like what Coy did with his lights in case he needed to flash somebody from the front. I set mine to come on when I put my truck in reverse, and then I also have a switch that I can turn them on separately in case I just want them on. I don't know, in case maybe someone's following me way too close and they need some really bright lights shining backwards for that purpose, or maybe you need to see behind you at camp and you just turn them on, but you're not in your truck and you don't want to leave it in reverse or something. So I've got a separate rocker switch to do that same kind of thing Coy was talking about, and it's super nice having lots of light throw back there, especially if you got a backup camera. Factory backup lights don't light up enough stuff to see what's going on behind you with the backup camera.
Yeah. Here's a picture of those knuckle lights.
Hmm. Yeah, that's cool. I
Yeah.
like that. And I like that it's a small little cube. It's not even as big as like ditch lights.
No, that looks like one of the KC highlighter.
Yeah, so it's just a mount. You can put whatever light you want there.
Yeah.
So you could
Oh,
put
I see. It's just a
on.
mount that they sell. You put whatever you want. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see someone put a big old 6-inch light in there, LED light.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
8-inch pod. Yeah, round big ARPs. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I need someone to talk about light bars. The only light bar I've installed has been on the stink bug.
Oh well, why don't we mention that one? Begin with is yeah, they're easy to steal. They're prone to theft. I talked about it on this show. Someone tried to rip my light bar off my XJ. Literally, just cut it. Um, you can get them in a single row or double row. They're kind of limited on the mounting options because of the sizes. I mean, they do have smaller sizes, but when I'm referencing a light bar here, I'm talking 50, 40, 36 inches. It's kind of like you're stuck with your mounting options. Um, though you do have multiple beam configurations. What you can go where it's all straight beam across it, with floods on the outside. I think it is. Coy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have, floods on the outside. They now have ones, you get ambers on the outsides and then, spot in the middle. So they actually make a ton of different bar configurations. And they also make them so you can turn on just the outside floods if you like and leave the center spot off. So a lot of them also have high and low, which both it's just high and higher, really.
Yeah.
Uh, the the downside, or at least my personal downside for LED bars is there's two places to mount them, either your bumper or above your windshield. And when they're above your windshield, unless you have a really, really expensive one with a really clean cutoff, they glare off and wash out over your hood and it will cause incredible eye strain. I mean, it doesn't take
Yes.
long.
Yeah. That was a problem I had with my XJ. Was that thing just shot light everywhere?
So you'll see some guys mount them like 2 feet back behind, which I thought was because they were just imbeciles. But then later I found out that is to kill a chunk of light so that it doesn't blast their hood. So
Yeah. It It's amazing how terrible but genius it is.
Yeah, Kevin mentions here that he wants to explore a magnetic mounting of a light bar for versatility and only use when you go on a trip. And that's actually a really cool idea. If you had like a connector up top somewhere that you plugged it in and you could put it as far forward or as far back as you want, or you could spin it around backwards if you were doing something where you needed to shine light behind you or whatever. That's a great idea.
That's one thing I hate with lighting on the roof is running power up there. It sucks. I mean, I've got all of my flashing lights up top, plus my backup lights up there, and I'm gonna eventually have a light bar up there. Maybe I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna do that. I have the cutout for it, but I mean that's at least 3 power cords I've got to run up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I did on my Nissan, because I ran 4 HID flood spot combos on my roof, and then I had built onto the roof rack, I had some exterior LED lights. Not exterior, but some that shine all around the truck for like camp lighting. And so for the front lights, what I did was there is a like an XM radio antenna on the very front of my roof, and I took that all apart and I drilled some holes in it to pass the wires through, and then I fished wires up my A pillar across the roof and then out that, and then I remounted that and siliconed it really well. So there was just a little plug up there, and then on the back is where my roof rack lights mounted, well, the plug anyways. And what I did was I took my third brake light out and I fished wires up and around to the third brake light and I poked them out the bottom, and I put the third brake light back on, and there's just a tiny bit of deformity of the third brake light where the wires come out the bottom of that. So I've
And you
never
don't
had any
third brake light.
leakage. What's that?
I said, and you don't even really use your third brake light, anyways, too.
No, I took the bulb out of it because of the canopy. So, but um, yeah, so that's how I fished wire up there. When I ran lights on the top of my Subaru, I just put the wire inside of a wire loom and I tucked it along the A pillar, and I didn't always keep it on up there. I would only put it on when I was doing my Friday night rallies, and I had the wire loom like circled around a strut tower. So I'd open the hood, pull it up, run some electrical tape, and just tape it to the very corner of the windshield glass at the A pillar, and it would just run up top and go up there. So that was only for temporary stuff. But I do agree. There's no real good way to get power up there.
Mine's run up the window channel and it tucks in there pretty good, but every now and then it comes untucked. I've got too many wires going because I ran my grounds too with it up there, and I need to just cut those out and ground up on the roof. I've got a good spot on the roof rack to ground and
Mm.
just have, but it's just
You could
had
just run. You could run one. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're grounding.
just the lights that are up there. They're grounded.
You can just ground to the body, or if your roof rack's grounded well enough,
Yeah.
you can just
Yeah,
run negative to the actual.
I see what you're saying.
thread.
Yeah.
That
So
would cut out 3, soon 4 wires off the roof coming down that window channel, which they come untucked every now and then. They came untucked while we were in Nevada running through the desert. So
See, I'm gonna be the worst person because it was super easy for me to run power to my roof because the FJ Cruiser roof rack has a big foot on it with 4 bolts, and then underneath is hollow, and it goes straight up inside the actual tubular roof rack. So I just took that foot off, drilled like a 1 inch hole there, pulled 4 wires up the A pillar and in, and stuffed them inside the
I hate
the
you.
roof rack, and then I drilled a hole in the roof rack, and I have like 4 extra wires in there just in case I want to put something else. And
yeah,
it's been there 6 years, and I haven't had any leaks. So
Yeah, I hate
super
that.
easy to have a big roof rack that you can come up through the middle of.
my Frontier has a roof rack like that. My problem though is that um, the Frontiers and Xters are notorious for the bolt that's welded on the inside to break loose. So if you try to take your roof rack off, um, it can break off and just spin indefinitely, and now you can't get your roof rack off. Period, and it's loose and sloppy. So I've just
Oh.
never touched it on purpose.
The other thing is if you go to like a specialty shop, they make waterproof wiring. I don't know what the right term is, but they're used in the marine application on boats and
Yeah,
stuff
they're
where everything has to be waterproofed. So
it's like a
uh,
hole through.
yeah, it's like a pass through and it has a plug and stuff, and they work really well.
Yeah, or just don't put lights on your roof.
Yeah, that's definitely an option. I like them for my search and rescue stuff. I mean, I have all my flashing lights
Yeah,
up, and it looks coolish.
I like to let people know how cool I am from a long ways away by running giant lights on the roof.
yes. I
I like
loved
to look
having
like Mickey Mouse is coming down the road at them.
I loved having those four HID lights up on the roof. They were, I believe, 7-inch diameter lights, and they put a lot of light out for the day. But as soon as I put those LED ones on my front bumper, two of those were brighter than the four HID ones, and they had the same throw, and it was wider and brighter. Everything about them was better. So
Well, yeah, but if you had
decommissioned them.
four more of those on the roof, just imagine how bright it would be.
It's true, but I gained 2 mile a gallon back when I removed them off of my roof.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah.
All right, so light pods. There's different multiple housing shapes with different beams, angles. I mean, you've got flood spot combo, uh, fog, diffuse, scene, side shooters. My side shooters that are on my ditch lights, they actually flash amber or solid amber, um, which is I just use the flashing portion for search and rescue, and actually have them aimed towards the ditch so that I can see it as I approach it at high speeds.
That way you know where it's at and where to aim
Yep.
towards. Yeah.
Rick says that we looked great at night when we were coming into camp in Nevada, and it does look cool when you're set up somewhere and you see a group coming down towards you, and they're just all lit up with everything happening. It's kind of fun to see that.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember like the first time you saw an LED light bar like in action at night?
It
Uh,
was life changing.
yeah.
Yeah. I was up in the snow and we were kind of had a fire going and we're off of a main road and literally this guy had like an eBay 40-inch light bar like right when eBay started selling them, but I had never seen an action. I'd seen light bars but none on. And
Yeah.
the whole trees and the mountain was lighting up and we're like, well, apparently the mothership's coming up here to enjoy some fire with us. And that dude rolled in and everybody there, it was 5 or 6 was like, what kind of light is this? It's amazing. And he's just like, yeah, it's like a CIS light bar, like just cheap. And I ran halogens for a long time. And then I was like, I'm going to look into these LEDs.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cool thing with light pods, I mean, they can be placed so many different places that light bars can't. I mean,
They've got all different sizes and shapes as well. Like you can get super tiny cube lights, like we were talking on those knuckles, or you can get the typical 4 cubes, or you can get like big 4-inch round guys that people are running for
yeah,
pods.
you can get 8-inch round ones too.
KC makes a triangle shaped one now.
That's
Baja
right.
Yeah.
has an oval one that's really nice. They're LP or LC9 or whatever it is. That's kind of oval and has side shooters.
Well, yeah.
Their pods are the most versatile by far.
Yeah, and then Baja Designs, theirs is kind of a square, but it's rounded edges.
Hmm.
So
Uh,
Ben, you have ditch lights.
yeah,
Um,
that are
do you have ditch lights, Koi?
I do, but not typical. Mine are done in a different way than anybody else does. But
Do they? So do I don't have ditch lights, but they're mounted at the very back of your hood on your cowl area. Do they shine down your hood and give you the same issue that a light bar mounted too far forward does?
mine are not mounted there. So Ben, you go ahead.
Mine are aimed. If they were aimed straight ahead, they would. Well, maybe not because they're a beam pattern, but they mine are aimed off to the sides so that
Hmm.
it's going this way, so it's not
Yeah.
supposed to shine on the hood. They're aimed to the side and down. That way, if I look out towards my mirror and I look down on the ground, I see what's there. That
I
way, if
just see a
I'm
lot of people with
sure,
them pointed forward.
that's because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I had my brother ran some on his Jeep like that, and they were super aggressively lighting up his hood. See, I run my ditch lights. They're basically right underneath the blinker on the sides, and they're really small and hard to see. So those, and they go 90 degrees from the truck. And then I have the side shooter pods, and they'll get everything that doesn't, and then my all my main beams forward. So
You got
I actually have over 180 degrees of light from the driver's
Yeah,
seat.
and the idea of a ditch light is to throw light off to the side of where your headlight's not reaching. That way, in front of you, you have more of a field of view.
Hmm. I just remembered, Coy, you've got one other set of lights you didn't talk about, the factory mirror lights
Oh
that come
yeah,
on FJ Cruisers and shine forward. What are those
super
good for?
nothing. Just identifying other FJ Cruiser owners.
Yeah,
I actually specifically those are notorious for going out, and I did upgrade those to LEDs, but they're no brighter. There's a diffused panel inside there, and there's a ton of FJ guys that do all this custom work and put like projectors in those and stuff. And it's same thing, just lights up the side of your hood, and it's just blinding, horrible.
Uh, yeah. Oh boy. Well, yeah, there's a lot that you can do with pods. And they just, like we're saying, all different shapes and sizes. One thing we haven't touched on much, Ben's mentioned a few times, and we don't really have a section, but like emergency lights for people who do search and rescue. That's a big popular thing for people who are in that to do all the flashy lights and stuff. I
yeah,
know Rick does that.
and there's all sorts of cool things. I know. Oh my goodness, I can't think of their name right now. They were one of the sponsors for the off-road show last year for the car show. Um, Diode Dynamics. They make it replaces the chip flasher that you have, and when you hit your emergency hazard lights, you can actually change how they flash, and it makes your hazard lights flash like a
In a
emergency
pattern.
light. Yeah, pattern
Oh, that's
flash.
cool.
Yeah, those are, I don't know. There's lots of options. I mean, you can do a whole episode on the different types of options you have for those.
Well, the next one here is rock lights. I bought some one time and then traded them to Ben for some medical supplies. Um,
And I still haven't used them.
yeah. No, Coy, they were legitimate
Med-
medical supplies.
Yeah,
No, they were medical supplies. It was for
no,
my first aid kit.
Just some spare.
I probably shouldn't have because he needs them more than I do. So
so rock lights, they're really redneck underglow. Like if we're being totally honest. That being said, I love rock lights if they're white. If you're running blue and red and yellow, just kill yourself,
Well,
please.
yeah,
Like,
and the funny
what
thing
are
with
you doing?
rock lights is placement is key for them to be useful. I know, like Rick, his sliders have a rock light built into them, and it aims it towards the base of his wheels and tires, so that you can actually see if you're looking at an obstacle at night. You can see
you
what.
mean you don't want the light at the top of your wheel well shining on the top of your tread, casting a shadow over the ground?
Yeah, that's pretty pointless.
So everybody thinks that rock lights are like for you, so you can see where your tires at, but
It's for your
they're
spotter.
they're not. They're for your spotter, or even more likely, they're for the guy behind you, or or for you if the guy in front of you has them. They're super awesome if you're following someone with rock lights because you can kind of see what's happening. And I like rock lights. They're nice in the snow. If you're airing up and airing down, awesome. If you have to crawl under your truck and work on something, having rock lights pretty sweet. It's once again, you're not holding a flashlight in your teeth. So I like rock lights. I think they're a good mod to do.
Yeah, there's definitely a for show and a for use, and how you mount them is
Mhm.
key. There are magnetic options. We mentioned Lux earlier. They make these. Their lights have a little rare earth magnet on the back of them, and literally you just wire them in, and then you stick them on on a piece of metal, or you can screw in a little piece of metal and slap them on, and then hope they don't
Yeah,
come loose and get tangled up in something.
So I've
yeah,
ran 3 of those for years. That if they came off, you scraped them on something or you physically took them off. They're rare earth magnets, and there's 4 across the back, and they are on there.
Hmm. Scene lighting. So I mentioned that on my roof rack, I had LED lights that wrapped around it so that it would light up camp. I would call them like camp lights and things like that. You're setting up camp, you get there after dark, you need to see where stuff is so you aren't tripping over things.
Yeah, I've got
Um,
what my awning had an LED strip in it that was just hooked up to a USB battery, and you can literally, it's like, hey, I've got light shooting out underneath my awning, and now a little extra light in camp.
yeah, pretty handy. Um, Usually, with the way people are mounting these is up high and most likely on their roof rack, and so they can shine it where they want, or they might have one on a magnet, like Kevin was talking earlier, where you can place it. Maybe you don't need it to shine 360 degrees around. You're just working off of one side of your rig, so you got a magnet. You drop it on, you rotate it the right way, and you're good to go. Um, great for setting up camp, things like that. Or maybe your buddy in his Toyota had some suspension problems, his wheel's going to fall off, who knows. Stuff like that, you can park your rig, shine your lights towards that, and you can see while you're working on your friend's Toyota while you're driving a Nissan that hasn't broken down in a long time.
It's next time you go, you're on the highway and you go past that fire truck and there's the wreck and they got all those big lights on the side just lighting up a massive field of that's not what you're going to have. That's what you're aspiring to, but that's scene lighting, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
just think of it as that, but on a smaller scale. It's like work lights.
Yeah,
yeah, but you're not necessarily like trying to do a medical procedure on the side of the road and you need all the lights in the world.
Well, the
And
one
it's
mistake I've seen
it's
with scene lighting is people will go too bright, and then you're trying to set up camp, and every time you walk to the truck, you're being blinded by this
Yep.
LED beast you have on the side of your truck. So don't be
Exactly.
afraid to
the
dial
Florida
it back,
windows.
put your man card back in your pocket when you're
Mhm.
picking out scene lights.
Yeah, that's
And
it. Florida Brodozers, where they've got the 50-inch light bar on the sides.
yes, that's what I was going to mention, was that also when you're out camping, there's not usually a lot of other light out there that you're fighting with. Um, and so it's going to be darker. You don't need as bright of a light for scene lighting. So it can definitely be a lot smaller, a lot less wattage. So chase lights, you guys got chase lights?
Nope.
There's been a few times I wished people had them actually.
I should get
Sure,
one because
Jeremy
I'm
does.
always leading and driving fast.
I'm sure Jeremy wishes somebody did.
I was doing a bunch of off-roading, trail driving, whatever you want to call it, overlanding for lack of better term, in the Christmas Valley area in like August, and it was just silt. Like it was hard to see the guy in front of you. Like, and
Mhm.
we had radios, so we would call out when we're stopping and come to slow stops because you could have easily pile drove into the car in front of you. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we don't really have them, but it's essentially a pretty bright light shining backwards. Usually amber is what people use for that kind of stuff. A lot of Ultra 4 guys and things like that are running that, but clearly it needs to be bright enough. It needs to be brighter than what your taillights are putting off, because if you
Yeah.
can't see someone's taillights, you're not going to see a light that's the same brightness.
My
So,
search and rescue lights probably wouldn't be bright enough, but at least the flashing would alert someone as they were getting too close.
yeah. So I threw three more here at the end, just real quick ones to touch on. Interior lights. It's kind of something that's kind of like a user discretion. just like scene lights, you can get too bright. You don't have to put LEDs in all of your interior lights. One thing I like to do back when I was doing the rally was I would put a red LED light for the map light for my navigator so
Oh,
that he could have that on while I'm driving.
yeah. Aaron Krevick, he's got those for his map lights. Is red. I think
It's
that
because
might
he's
be.
a nerd.
Well, it's because at night when we're on a
Wait,
search, he wants to be able
hang
to
on a second.
see
When you
at
say
night.
rally and navigator, are you talking about time, speed, distance trials?
Yeah.
Okay, you're a nerd now because that's not a rally.
I
Jesus.
They are
Trying to
called.
tell people
It's
that
called
time,
a
speed, distance is
time
a
speed
rally.
dis. It's called the time speed distance rally.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
yeah. That's like track day versus time attack. Like that's so it's a wider cast than that. Like
I think you and I, Coy, should try to attend some of those sometime in the future.
I will do it with you.
The time speed distance thing.
Or time attack or track day. You choose.
Okay. Yeah. So interior lights, that's red allows someone in your vehicle to have it on while you're driving. If they're reading, trying to figure out directions for you, stuff like that, it helps
Yeah,
without blinding you.
red and green help preserve your night vision. So
Yeah. Red just looks cooler than green though.
yeah,
And then bed lights. Some of the newer rigs come with lights in the beds. I've seen people put like LED strips up underneath
yeah,
the bed sides. You've done that?
I've done that through work,
Yeah.
and it really like if you have a canopy on there, it's
Mhm.
nice because like the little canopy light, it's just this little dinky light, and if you do a bed light, it lights up your whole entire bed so that hey,
Yeah.
I'm looking for this piece of lumber in the back, this certain piece or
Your
whatever.
camp gear. Your camp
For your
gear.
camp gear. Looking for
Yeah.
my first aid kit in the back, and I
Yep.
was dumb and got black instead of red, and I can't find it. Now you can find it.
Yeah. And then the last one here, this one is just a fun one, is those LED CB radio antennas, those LED whips. Those are kind of a
Whips.
fun thing. It'd be
Oh, they
fun to
also
kind of
have,
goof off with one of those.
they also have the what is it the Fairlead lights now, like the winch Fairlead lights.
Oh, I haven't seen that. So, like, is built into your fair lead so it shines forward.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a little extra light up front. I mean, it's definitely if you're limited on your light options, it's one place you could put it.
That's
Yeah.
like over bling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I feel like we've beat the LED lights pretty hard.
Yep.
Um,
No lockers
one,
this episode, guys. Sorry.
yeah, one thing we haven't talked about, and I feel like maybe we should do an episode about this, is how to wire this stuff up. How do you wire your rig for aftermarket stuff so that you don't burn it down?
Ooh.
You should probably do that after I'm done guest hosting because I have friends that'll call me out hard. My truck could burn down right now, and
Yeah.
I know exactly why.
Do you have a rat's nest under there?
It all works and has worked, but yeah, it looks like a pack rack got in there. Yeah, and was
So you
fighting
have
with
no
the
cable
Terminator.
management, is what you're saying?
Yes, cable management. That sounds like something you'd write on a resume. I'm adept at cable management.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, if you don't want wires rubbing on stuff and shorting out fuses and
Yeah.
wondering why this light's not working and why is my rig on fire right now,
Well, we've all wired stuff, and I'm sure we've all wired stuff poorly.
Yeah,
If you wire it wrong, it doesn't work. Wiring something poorly, it'll still work, but you could have issues. So,
uh, as long as you learn from it, right? I mean,
yep,
using a relay properly is always a good thing to do.
yeah. So, yep. So yeah, that'll have to be a future episode. We're going a little long here, so we can't just throw it out right now. So yeah, we'll do another episode on that. I think that'll be fun. Yep. Well, we want to thank everybody who listens to us weekly. For those that have stuck with us for this hour and a half long episode on YouTube, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming on and all the comments that we get from you guys. It helps make the show just that much better. Make sure you're sharing us with your buddies. Coy keeps sharing this awesome show with his friends, and they keep popping in here. So appreciate that, Coy. Rick, I called you out last week, and I haven't seen any firefighters show up since I called you out. So you're going to need to step it up. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it, and God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren and Power Tank to see all of their great gear. We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a question or comment? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.tv or through our social media channels by searching for Offroad Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com, Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread light, be safe and courteous, and thanks for listening.
Pull that shirt down, Coy.
Charge extra for that.
Oh, that was good. That was a good episode.
We're still on the air.